And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you, my friend?
I am well, Eric. I hope you can say the same.
Things are going well. It's
Good.
funny, as I was watching last night's game, I felt like I was watching a Broadway play.
Huh.
Okay? Very entertaining. A lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Sure.
And it's the same script week after week, just different actors week after week.
At some point, you have to look at the Broncos and say, this is who they are, right? At some
We talked
point.
about that 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Are we just willing to accept this?
Yes.
Now, in all fairness, Bruce, it really doesn't matter if we, the media, accepts it. It really doesn't matter if the fans accept it or not. It's not as if the Broncos don't know how they are winning games week after week in the same fashion, which is exciting. It's great to watch. Is it sustainable? We will find out, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I know. They've won 9 straight. They're 10-2. At the moment, they're the top seed in the AFC. And at some point, you just got to kind of stop questioning the manner in which they are getting things done. Just accept it and go along for the ride, because I don't see this changing a great deal.
No.
They're going to win with defense. Last night, the defense gets a mulligan. You know what? They've carried this team with pretty broad shoulders all season long, so they get a mulligan. The offense did what they needed to do at the time that they needed to do it. Could have done a little bit more in the fourth quarter. And here's the irony, Eric. The irony is that they've been a fourth quarter offense all season long, and then all of a sudden, and this is kind of how it is in the NFL sometimes, now all of a sudden they're not a fourth quarter offense and they're going 3 and out. But you know what? That's just the nature of the beast. And they won the football game, and you load up and see where they are this week, and you hope that they're in a similar position next week with one less game to play, because they are in an enviable position that every team in the NFL outside of the New England Patriots would like to be in right now.
I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill, because I was just there yesterday, met a buddy of mine, Thomas, there for lunch, went to go watch Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Played the San Francisco 49ers. We were there. Got the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. He got the blackened chicken sandwich. Absolutely outstanding. Really great crowd there. It is a sports bar that was, put together. It was built by sports fans. Judson and Jeremy and John, and it really has everything. An outstanding menu, great wings, outstanding sandwiches. The appetizers are amazing. It's just a fun place to go. Every seat's a great seat in the house, and it's like everybody knows everybody there. When you walk in, I don't mean to make it sound like a Cheers commercial, but people when you walk in the door if you go there enough, because everybody wants to keep going to the same place where they have fun week after week after week. And now that we are in the teeth of the NFL season, heading into the playoffs, Nuggets are going, Avs are going really well, I might add. All 3 of our teams are playing well. Isn't it fun to watch it with your friends and fellow Denver sports fans? Go to the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Bruce, I've not read all the headlines on the Broncos game this morning, but here's one for you that I made up just for fun.
Oh, good.
Broncos win a thriller in typical Broncos fashion. Not only do I think that headline sums up the win last night, but it really kind of sums up their entire season. It is nothing more than copy and paste with these guys, as they have won their last 4 games by a total of 10 points.
Yeah. Someone asked me about the Broncos yesterday, and I thought for a moment, they asked me to typify them, like what kind of word would I use to describe them? I came up with opportunistic, but it seemed a little, it's like, duh. So you know what they are? They're just interesting. It's a really interesting story to watch unfold each week, because you're right, Eric. They're going to play close football games. They're very comfortable playing close football games. And more times than not, they've come away with a way to get it done. Interestingly, the season started with 2 games that they didn't get it done against, right? You know, they had the leverage penalty in Indianapolis, game that they could have, should have won. They had the last drive by Justin Herbert, which they could have won that game. I'm not going to say they should have won that game. Herbert had something to do with it at the end, but they lose on a last-second kick. Since then, you know, they're figuring out ways to win. It's an interesting football team, entertaining, opportunistic. There's lots of words that you can use to describe them, but more than anything, they're winners.
Here are the 2 words to describe the Broncos before Sean Payton and after Peyton Manning: bad and boring.
Yeah.
This year's team is neither. They are certainly not bad.
No.
And they're sure as hell not boring.
No.
Okay. So at least it's exciting to watch the game. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to know the outcome of every game. Although then again, when you look at the last 12, we pretty much know what the outcome of every game is going to be, no matter what the time says on the clock. With that, I think it is fair to say, and you were sitting in the press conference, I'm guessing, Sean Payton after the game, he was almost defiant after the game, saying, the journey of a good team season involves games like this. He's right. Do you believe it can happen and that you can do it again? There cannot be false belief. We did not escape. We won. And that is a very fair statement. It's a very accurate statement. The problem is that phrase is usually used over maybe 2 or 3 games over the course of an entire season, not, generally speaking, the entire season. Yeah. But again, and I said it at the top of this particular podcast, it's not as if Sean Payton and the players don't see what we see. It's not as if they're not trying to fix what we all feel is a team that is walking a tightrope over the Grand Canyon, heading into the playoffs where one small slip up, there isn't another week to play.
Yeah, they are, but that realm is always the same. 60 minutes, you're moving on or you're going home. That's it. One game only. It's the NFL. The NFL playoffs are sudden death, not in terms of, the next score wins, but you lose and you're 13-4 and all anyone does is say, pat you on the ass on the way out and say, hey, you had a nice season. Next, you move on. This is just the nature of the beast, and you've got to be able to handle the moment. The Broncos are handling the moment. Will they continue to do it as the challenges become more severe? Because let's face it, you've got the Raiders coming up this next week. It's a rivalry game. They've played them tough before, but you've got the Chiefs on the road. You've got the Chargers coming in. You've got the Packers coming in. Jacksonville is 8-4. You're going to have some pretty stern challenges, but you know what? There's no reason that the Broncos can't negotiate this. They have proven it. Look, you can say whatever you want, and people can and do say whatever they want about the way that they're winning, but they're winning. And the value of winning in whatever way they need to win, that's a cumulative thing for the confidence of a football team. Sean says it all the time. Confidence equals demonstrated ability. The demonstrated ability is there. This team knows how to win. It may not fit the way that it looks, that people want it to look, but they are 10-2. And you know what? They know how to do it.
Yep.
They know how to do it. And it might make you a little nervous when you're watching, and it might make you a little anxious. But you know what? 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 12, they've gotten it done.
I think it was John Elway who said the line, "We got him right where we want him."
Yeah,
John Elway.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You know what? That's to me. That's how this Broncos team feels to me late in games. Got him right where we want him.
Yeah.
And most teams don't feel that way. This team does because, using your words, they have the demonstrated ability to go out and win games. But I'll be honest here. When you look at their 9-game winning streak, 7 of the 9 games are one-score wins. That's impressive, right?
Yes.
You're going to have a tough time winning in the playoffs if you can't win close games.
Yes.
Because a lot of games in the playoffs are close. With that, 7 of those 9 teams as well did not have winning records. Because it was Washington, a team without Jaden Daniels, when you look at their previous wins outside of the Chiefs, where it was like last-second miracles, for lack of a better phrase, and I'm not trying to dismiss that they won the games or in the manner in which they won games, but it is now a well-documented pattern that they are coming back in the fourth quarter and just finding ways to win, which is great. However, if I said to you, let's look at the Broncos' schedule over their last 4 games. And their last 4 games, they've beaten the Commanders, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Texans. I understand the Texans. They have a winning record. They're 7-5. Raiders are terrible. Chiefs are 500. The Commanders are well under 500. They won 4 in a row by combined 10 points. But wouldn't you feel a little bit better if I told you those 4 games instead were against, I don't know, the last 4 games they're going to play on this schedule?
Yeah.
How about the Packers, Jaguars, Chiefs, and Chargers? You feel a lot better about winning 4 games by combined 10 points against those teams than you do against the previous 4 teams.
Yeah, I don't know. My attitude is I just feel pretty good about them winning games. I hear what you're saying. And you're consistent in that. You take a look at who they're playing, and that's fair. That is certainly one way to look at it, and I respect it. I just see a team that's succeeding. I see a team that has great confidence in one another. And I see a team that feels like they're going to win every game they play. Sometimes when you hear that from teams and from guys, you go, okay, yeah, sure. But where's the proof? The Broncos at least have the body of proof in front of them that when they say, we feel like we're going to win every game that we play, I think that they really believe it. And then they generally go out and do it. You don't win 9 straight games in this league by just being lucky or by mistake. It just, not in this league. This league is too good. It is too good. And I know you're not intimating this. The Broncos have no apologies to make, period. Not one bit of apology do they need to make, Bruce, about how they're doing this.
Let's look at what the Chiefs did last year.
Sure.
They won a lot of games like the Broncos won last night.
11-0 in one-score games.
And a lot of people said about the Chiefs last year, well, they're down, they're not the same team, yada, yada, yada. I don't need to go through it. But what they also said was this: for the way the Chiefs are winning games, is this sustainable through a Super Bowl win? And a lot of people said, I'm not so sure it is. They're winning close games. They're perfect in close games. But is this sustainable? Can you walk that tightrope over the Grand Canyon without slipping and falling to the bottom of the Grand Canyon? Well, we saw what happened in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, but it was the Super Bowl.
Good for the Chiefs for getting there.
Yeah.
The last team that I can remember having a stretch like this was a Bears team that I covered in 2001. And every game seemed to end like this Broncos game. And I remember covering it, and this is how far back we're going here. The star player on the Eagles defense in 2001 was Brian Dawkins. And all week, that's all we talked about. How are you going to find a way to contain this guy? And the Bears got throttled in that game. The reason why I'm bringing this up is I can't remember too many teams that I've ever covered in the NFL that have had great stretches like this, 9 wins in a row, really close games, last-second wins. Nick Bonito batting down a 2-point conversion where if Mariota gets a little bit more air under it, that is the easiest 2-point conversion.
They lose the game, right?
Of all time.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
So you look at yesterday's game and, look at all the games prior to that. They're winning, and that is so impressive. And I agree with you. We just have to accept it for what it is. Not that the players give a shit what we think anyway.
Yeah, right,
this is how they're winning. My whole point in this is I can't remember any team that I've ever covered that has played like this during the regular season, winning games, winning close games, believing they can win, and then winning the whole thing. Eventually, they slip on that tightrope somewhere.
Well, here is what my push would be this. They didn't play well defensively, but I think that you can count on them to generally play very well defensively. That's what they've been. If they had been even good last night, that wasn't even a football game. I mean, they win the game pretty easily. We walk off and we're not even having this conversation. We're having this conversation because for whatever reason, the Commanders were able to run the ball, and this is the one thing that they do well. The one thing the Commanders do well is run the football. They were fourth or fifth in the NFL in rushing going into that game.
Well, hold on. Remember, Jaden Daniels is a huge part of that.
Well, they had the
well, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but I mean, but not solely. It's not like he's rushing for 110 yards a game.
I agree.
I mean, so they were averaging over 180 yards in their 3 wins.
Right.
In their 3 wins. That's the only way that this football team is going to win right now is, and they've lost 7 straight games now, is to run the ball and run the ball very much like they did last night. So, so now we go back to, and we're going to Vegas this week, and they're going to play a Raiders team. So defensively, if the Broncos show up as per normal, you would think, okay, that would make their chances to win much easier. Now, nothing's easy in the NFL, but I would say to you, Sean Payton called this potentially a Super Bowl team. And you know what? He said that in last August. And you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
That's where they are right now.
Yep.
Now, can it also be a one-and-done team? Yeah, it can be.
Yep.
In the playoffs of the NFL, you're damn right it can be. That's exactly right. But I can see this football team in the AFC because who do you fear in the AFC? Fear. I don't know who it would be.
You don't fear anyone in the AFC because you don't have your typical top 3 quarterbacks heading into the playoffs, which are, in no particular order, Mahomes, Jackson, and Burrow.
Yeah.
You're going to have to face those guys.
Yeah.
You're going to be facing Daniel Jones and Drake May. That's why. And what's that?
And Josh Allen. I think
I'm so not sold on the Bills.
Right, I hear you.
Are you?
Not sold. Certainly not sold. But they're sitting there at 8-4, and I mean they do have Josh Allen. So, I mean, I think Houston is an interesting football team. I mean, they're interesting. They're outside the playoffs looking in. How big is next Sunday night with Houston going to Kansas City? It is effectively an elimination game for the postseason. So, I mean, the Chiefs are really teetering on the edge right now after the Cowboys all of a sudden start to look like a better football team. Right. This league is strange. It's hard because the Cowboys were awful when they were here and the Broncos made them look awful. Now all of a sudden, so you get one guy from the Jets and now all of a sudden you're able to play some defense and the offense that was absolutely stifled by the Broncos defense now is scoring points and beating the Chiefs, who have a tremendous defense. It's a weird league. It really is. I feel good about the Broncos because of their defense. And I do think that their defense is championship level. Last night, notwithstanding, we know about the challenges the offense has. Those are ongoing, but they do have a championship defense. And if you can at least look at one area and say, this is a championship team, you can look at this area and say, this one group, this one phase of play makes them a championship team. I think that you can do it without blushing and talking about the Broncos defense.
I know a lot of times when we talk about the Broncos and, since Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, since the Broncos won a Super Bowl, that always seems to start a sentence. And then you fill in the blank with a bunch of garbage that we had to watch for all of these years. But as we were putting together show notes yesterday, I thought to myself, doesn't it feel like about 5 to 7 years ago, this team was 1-2 earlier this season?
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. Let me say that again. Doesn't it feel like about 5 years ago, the Broncos at one point had a 1-2 record this season?
And had a 1-2 record with plenty of doubt. It's like, okay, they kind of sneaked past the Titans in the opener. They had a couple of moments against, and in truth, we didn't know about the Colts. And the Colts have, by the way, now lost 3 of 4. Yeah. But the Colts got off to a great start.
Isn't Daniel Jones, doesn't he have a broken bone?
Yeah, I think so. They haven't disclosed exactly what in NHL-like fashion. They have
lower body injury.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then again, Bo Nix played with a broken back last year.
Yeah, you're right. He did.
Shit happens, man. Sorry, Andy. Yeah. Shit happens.
Yeah, it you know what? It just does. And at the end, and using your term, no one wants to hear about how hard the birth was. They just want to see the baby.
That is right.
It's right.
So coming up after the break, Broncos have won 9 straight, as we talked about. Number 1 seed as of this moment, but the Patriots play later tonight against the Giants. With that, when you watched the start of overtime, were you thinking to yourself, where has that fucking been all game? That's next.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
Welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
At the risk of asking you something in which the answer could very well be no, I will ask you anyway. As a kid, did you at least one time in your life ever turn the crank of a Jack-in-the-Box and then the little puppet comes up, and then boom, pops up, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think Sean Payton has 2 Jack-in-the-Boxes sitting on the sidelines.
Okay.
He has one for 50 minutes of the game, where every time you turn the crank, the same little puppet comes up. And then, like we saw at the beginning of overtime, he cranked the Jack-in-the-Box, and instead of the usual, benign puppet coming up, out of the box pops a fire-breathing dragon. Bo Nix, 4 for 4, 71 yards, bang. RJ Harvey runs it right into the end zone for a touchdown. And you're thinking, where was that the entire game? But haven't we been saying that all season?
Yes, absolutely. Consider this. The last drive in 2 minutes, right, of the first half, combined with the first drive of overtime, both which were played with a certain degree of tempo. Between them, 15 plays for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in less than 4 minutes.
Right.
15 plays, 140 in less than 4 minutes, both of them producing touchdowns.
So help me understand, Bruce, why can't this be duplicated 2 or 3 times during the body of the opening 3 quarters, or in this case, the 3 quarters were more than fine. It was the 4th quarter in which they laid an egg.
Yeah. Well, it's a fair question. I mean, the challenges of going up tempo all the time is it can wear on your defense. It can wear on your offense. There's all kinds of challenges that way. But the effectiveness, if you use them in isolated spots, is what you're talking about. And it's, to me, a very legitimate question. What is the challenge of using a little bit more pace in the way that you're attacking defense? Now, they got a huge catch and run up the seam from Evan Engram in that first drive of the overtime. That was a really nice little 41 yard burst. I mean, Evan Engram actually looked pretty good last night. I mean, he was solid for that football team last night. But I keep saying I would be surprised if we didn't see a little bit more of that, but we still don't see that much of it. We just don't. And I get it. You want to be able to establish the run. They have not been able to do that in the last 2 games without J.K. Dobbins. That is an issue now. 2 games to me is enough of a trend when you look at it, and it's like, okay, they've got to get that figured out, period. Because
I don't know how they get it figured out, Bruce.
I don't know either.
Because they don't have the muscle to run the ball the way that Peyton says he wants to run the ball. Right. And notice how I said it that way, how he says he wants to run the ball.
I think with J.K. Dobbins, they're running the ball a lot in that football game last night, you know, but it's a challenge for them. And you know what? I mean, when you lose a back like J.K. Dobbins, who at the time was the 5th leading rusher in the NFL, it is going to create a challenge. And they haven't been able to get it figured out yet. You've got a couple of capable backs, but that's where they are right now. I mean, Jaleel is capable in some situations. Certainly, RJ Harvey, the best play RJ Harvey made last night, other than the 2 touchdowns and getting in the end zone, was the protection that he came all the way across the face of Bo Nix late in the game to pick up a blitzing outside edge rusher. And it was a very mature play for a young player to make. Because at least there was recognition in that moment. But they do have some issues there, no question.
Okay, let's move it over to the defense. Overall, how do you feel that they played? I will chime in very briefly then just to continue this conversation off of what I have to say. The tackling at times was just dreadful.
Couldn't get Mariota on the ground. Just couldn't get him on the ground, and had chances to do it so much.
Well, it's big. It's big. Well, there is one Mariota play that encapsulates most of the defensive performance, but even tackling running backs, they could tackle running backs. Forget about Mariota, but we'll bring him back in a second.
Right.
They could tackle the running backs on third down. At least early on, they were terrible. Specifically in that first half, they were not good, and they could not apply any type of really good pressure on Mariota either. So all the things that they have done well all year, they just did not have that type of game yesterday, but they wound up winning the game. Good for them. They've won 9 in a row. They're on top of the AFC West, but the AFC in general, I should say.
Yeah.
But the one play that really sums it up more so than anything else is
I know where you're going.
4th and 6.
Right.
In overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Benito had Mariota.
Had him.
Drop him, game over. Instead, PI on Hufanga. And that, to me, I'm thinking, boy, that is going to be something. If for most of the game, they had trouble tackling, and the one tackle that they so desperately needed cost them the game.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been the case last night. No question about it. I mean, and then they were in a 50-50 shot with the 2-point conversion, and they happened to call a good – I mean, that was a wise use of a timeout, and they came out with a little bit of a different look. But if he doesn't get that paw up there, that heavily wrapped right hand of his, then they don't win that football game, because to your point, the 2-point conversion was basically that was a given. The guy was wide open. So anyway,
let's take a quick look at the end of the game, because I'm thinking, is this the craziest finish we've seen all year? And my initial thought was, no, the Giants game was.
Yeah.
With all the points they scored in the fourth quarter and the ebb and flow, specifically the end of the game. But just to encapsulate how the game ended in overtime. 4th and 6, Mariota does not go down for a sack by Benito and another teammate. PI on Hufanga. You're thinking, oh my God. Then 2 plays later, it's 3rd and 4. Mariota hits McLaurin for a touchdown, but it was holding on Washington because Cooper got so low to the ground that it was no touchdown. So they could have ended the game with a sack on Mariota. Game doesn't end there. Then they could have lost basically right at that moment with that touchdown to McLaurin, but that touchdown's called back. So now you have the ebb and flow with Broncos fans and Commanders fans, right?
Yep.
Then you have Mariota to Samuel while Moss is in single coverage.
Yeah.
No safety help.
None.
And that goes down to the 1-yard line. Your heart's in a blender at this point. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 4-yard line, Ertz drops a touchdown pass.
Right.
And you're like, and how many more bullets can we dodge here? Then on 4th down against Surtain, McLaurin scores a touchdown. And you're like, oh my God. Now they're going for the 2-point conversion, and you can see it pretty much on TV where there was a free guy out there to Mariota's left, and Benito is the only guy standing between losing and winning.
The only guy that could have made
was incredible in terms of the drama where the game could have ended so many different times but didn't.
Which happens somewhat regularly in these tight one-score games that we see so often in the NFL. Not just the Broncos, but around the National Football League. It's just kind of the way the league is set up. It's part of what makes it so compelling to watch. I mean, how compelling was the Commanders and the Broncos on paper going in? I mean, the Broncos with a 8-game win streak, the Commanders with a 6-game losing streak without Jalen Daniels, playing Marcus Mariota, 3-8, a shadow of their former selves from a team that played for the NFC title last year, lest we forget, right? But it ends up being just this phenomenal game. People are talking about it. I'm seeing the words epic, classic, all of these things. It's a game the Broncos should have won in much easier fashion than they did if you just look at the metrics and everything on paper. But you got to go out and play the game. And I mean, that's the oldest cliche in the book, but in the NFL, it's so true.
Oh, I want to get into the Buffs real quick. Their season
Sure.
ends 3-9 record. Deion Sanders said after the game in which they lost to K-State, the latest loss was, quote, the Last Supper. That's what we needed, or that's what's needed for a Buffs resurrection. Being Jewish, and I'm not overly familiar with the New Testament, please explain to me what happened after the Last Supper.
I think Jesus Christ was crucified, wasn't he?
That doesn't sound good.
I don't think that does sound very good.
I don't know if Last Supper is probably the best analogy, is it?
I don't know. When I think, I probably no, I wouldn't think so.
I mean,
because who's Jesus in that picture?
I'm not going to even go there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that one ride. But with that, what's your overall take on this season, and what makes you believe they're going to be better next year?
Let me ask you this, Eric. What was their record?
3-9.
Yeah, 3-9, 1-8 in the Big 12 conference. We talk all the time about the record is what it is what you are.
Right.
That's what CU is. They won one game in the Big 12 this year. Am I confident that they can turn this around next year? No, I need demonstrated ability at this point.
Okay.
They've gone 4-8, 9-4, and 3-9 now. I mean, there is no other than him being Deion Sanders, which I get, right?
Yep.
There's nothing that makes me say, oh yeah, CU is going to be, instead of 15th in the Big 12 next year, they'll go into the season being picked 4th or 5th. Forget it. I mean, there's no reason to think that. I don't know where they're at.
So, Deion Sanders, I always feel like I start the script the same way when talking about Deion Sanders. He has done great things for this university.
Give him his flowers. Give him his flowers. No question about it. On
a macro level, he's done amazing things for this university. But if this team is 4-8 next year, is it time to move on from Deion Sanders?
Well, we'll have a new athletic director then, right?
Yeah, well, let's see what type of freedom he really has, or she really has.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? I mean, at the end of the day, we said this when Deion Sanders was hired. Limited coaching experience, not at the Division I level, had his son, Shedeur, and also had Travis Hunter, two terrific college football players who helped them win a lot of games last year.
Absolutely.
Totally with you on that. The hope is Juju Lewis becomes a player. Mm-hmm. That's your hope. But if he doesn't, and they are 4-8, 5-7, after 4 full seasons, and right now Deion Sanders does have a losing record, 4-8 would make it considerably worse for the sake of argument. It's time to move on.
I think you could make that argument, certainly. I mean, and let me just say this about Deion. I think he knows that. I really do. When he's talking about, you just got to let me fix this. I know how to do it. You just got to give me the time. And I think that he understands that this has been a really counterproductive season. What did CU take away from this? You, I guess, can make the argument. You can make the argument that they have their quarterback moving forward. I'm not sure that I would listen. I don't know how much pushback I might have on that. I don't know how. I probably haven't seen enough of Juju Lewis to say that definitively yet, but at least they've got a guy that has played some minutes and that has had some degree of success. Maybe that's a guy that you can build on. Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that, Eric.
Here.
I'm just not sure at this point.
This is the major disadvantage. Now, people will argue with me and say it's not a disadvantage at all because he's still Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
If you are a high school recruit, if you are looking to go into the transfer portal, I can understand why you wanted to come to Colorado in Deion's first year and his second year. But now that they are 3-9 after year 3, and you have Deion's health issues,
yeah,
and you have a team that doesn't seem to be pointing in the right direction, You think players are saying, "Ooh, where can I find Deion Sanders? You know where to find me." Well, we know where to find you, but maybe we don't want to find you, Deion.
I think that he continues. Look, it's not the good players. He gets, I think they're good players. I think they're pretty good players, but they have not been able to build the foundation for a good program. They haven't been able to work along the offensive and defensive fronts, build from a strong foundation out. They tend to build from the outside in. And what do I mean by that? Skill players, then they build into the, oh, yeah, they got to have an offensive line, and, oh, yeah, they got to have a defensive front. It's kind of back-asswards, but okay. I think that he will continue to be able to pull players. But, Eric, the question isn't about pulling players. The question for me is building chemistry, is building togetherness.
That doesn't matter to him. He made it very clear.
Well, I mean,
that stuff's overrated.
Well,
that stuff's overrated.
I think that.
Let's not talk about culture, Bruce. Culture means nothing. It's about winning.
I mean, it's about, well, it may be about winning, but that's a part of winning to me. And I think that if there is serious self-scouting and if there isn't self-scouting after 3-9, and thinking that you know how to do it just by, snapping your fingers, oh, I know how to do it because, and right, I mean, I get it. He's Deion Sanders. We all understand that. But this didn't work this year. And no reasonable person involved in it would look in the mirror and say, God, got to feel good about this, even though we were just 3-9. There's not much to build on right now outside of Juju Lewis, whether you think he's the player at quarterback moving forward. That's it.
And that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.